Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's work and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
Hey, I'm WeiryWriter.
And you have a beard now, and also joining me is someone who I guess is preparing to go to the Well of Ascension in Ancient Terrace, and up into the mountains, because you look like you're ready to be a Pac-Man.
Oh, is that what the joke was supposed to? It's just the hoodie. Like I don't even have gloves.
I guess it's just the combination of that and Ian's beard. It's like it's been like 1,000 years since we've recorded an episode.
For me.
I guess the colors are kind of like earthy, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It looks heavy.
So winter is pretty
Winter
much
is coming,
here.
but that is not
It's
a thing
actually-
we say in the Cosmere.
No, winter
Thank
was
God.
here already. Winter is right there.
Oh yeah.
Beyond this perpendicularity.
See, I'm in sunny California where it's the same temperature all the time, and this cold snap, didn't experience it. It's great.
I was commenting yesterday. The temperatures broke the freezing point for the first time in like a week just yesterday, and it felt like spring. Like I took my coat away and my hat and my gun. Like
time to put on the
is
shorts.
perfect.
Yeah. No,
40
I know.
degrees
I know
Fahrenheit, summer weather.
Yeah, trust me. I did a decade in Montana, and that's why I left.
Yeah.
Also joining me is David.
Hi, I'm Windrunner, and I'm awake. I'm here.
You are awake. It is early because I got stuff to do today. And
Especially for me,
and I am Chaos, and I am in a new place where I don't have all my acoustic foam. It's over here. I don't know how I want to situate things, so
just hold it around yourself like that.
Yeah. Your audio got better as you pulled it in frame. It's great.
yeah, these rooms echo a lot more than anyway. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We got a lot to talk about today. We have so much to talk about. We have a Nalthis star chart. Whoa!
At long last.
And we have a crap load of Words of Brandon since DragonCon from Brandon's Israel tour and going to Prague. And so we got a lot to talk about there. But before we do that, I want to show off some dice.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah.
How do they roll? Are they
I
loaded
don't know
in any
how to
way?
rate dice rolling.
What's the hand feel like?
I mean, this is heavy. This is
how's
metal.
the
It
balance?
has a good. Sorry, I don't have these exquisite tools to properly test balance. But so we got iron here. It's got the iron symbol. We got a steel one. Oh wait, no.
So these are for Crafty Games is doing a Kickstarter soonish.
By the time this episode airs, the Kickstarter should be active, I believe.
That is
Okay.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's
so reflective.
This
Yeah.
one's very reflective.
So as of the time of this recording, the draft of the Kickstarter is up, so people can go and look at it and offer feedback. And one of the things they noted there is that some of the dice are really, really shiny, and so they had to do some digital retouching to actually make them visible.
Great. And now I have the actual dice. It's like, oh, beacon. It's like you get to
Gondor calls for aid.
Yeah, no, you get to cosplay as Ruin and you can't see the metal.
so they're all solid metal dice.
They're solid metal. It's not actual gold on this because that would be expensive. And then the fourth one I have is this shiny Larasium or Harmonium one.
Harmonium.
Et metal.
Yeah. And it's very multicolory because we don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, do you keep it in a dry space, hopefully?
No, it's fairly humid where I live. So
Spontaneously explode. Okay, well, watch out.
I know. What if I just eat it? What if I just ate it on camera? Wouldn't that be great? That would be some great comedy, right?
Well, I need to take like 5 minutes after that. But yeah.
Then the Sharkcast's done. I choke and I die. Great comedy. Except no one would be able to get this video off of my computer. So,
Ding.
So that's the dice. They are expensive to get the set, but
they are 180 for a set of
20.
17, 20?
20.
I think 20.
Yeah.
20. And they are current stretch goals, which I'm actually kind of interested in. It sounded like if you hit a stretch goal, then you get another set of dice with different symbols like ferrochemical and hemalurgic added to your pledge for free. And so if they hit all of the stretch goals, you get 60 dice for the same.
But those don't have hemalurgic.
But those are going to be they're not going to be the metal ones. They'll be like
they're going to be like acrylic, like the old.
Worth knowing that.
And these are These are quite heavy. They have a nice heft to them.
Yeah.
It's good thing they round on the corners. Otherwise, you'd probably be denting your tabletop.
I have a chest, like a small, like it's not a toy chest. It's like this big. This doesn't mean anything to anyone. But it's a chest full of dice, and some of them are metal, and metal dice feel really nice.
Magnetic case shuts real fast on your finger.
Yep.
This episode started great. This episode started great.
One last thing I want to bring up about the dice, because we should get moving on to other things, is that I really like how the pushing metals have the metallic symbol kind of coming out of the surface of the die, and then the pulling metals have the metal symbol etched inside the surface.
You know, I was going to look up what those
or vice versa
caused, but because one is a bas relief and the other is something else.
Yep. That's neat. I think I all have pulling ones. The ones they sent are all pulling ones. God, you cannot see any of the other ones except the iron one. The other ones are so shiny.
Yeah. So is the symbol coming out of the surface, or is it etched in?
It's like raised from the inside, but it's not like out of the die itself.
So it was vice versa. So the pulling metals, like the metal is pulled out.
And then the pushing one is pushed in. Yeah. I don't have any of those. So cool. Well, awesome. Well, I can't tell what this. It's chromium. Yeah. The nice thing is I can just look here. But yeah, all these ones are pushing. All right, let's get into other stuff. And we got some other stuff. So let's first start talking about this Nalthis star chart. Whoa. So Isaac just dropped this on Instagram, and you can buy it now.
$4. Probably with shipping.
Well, yeah. It's that part that gets you. So, what do we got here? We have a very unbusy system. We have just Nalthis. Nalthis has one moon, which we didn't know about. We did know that there was at least a moon, but it has exactly one moon. We have a gas giant named Farkeeper the Bright with 6 moons.
Full of moons.
Listed. Yep. And then looks like we have an ice dwarf planet past the gas giants, kind of like we have Pluto, called Nightstar the Hidden. But then there's something else that's pretty cool.
Well, before the cool thing, we also have a comet belt, like all the way.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about the comet belt a little more.
You might see some interesting things with like the night sky if you have depending on how the distances work out.
Yeah. Well, because technically, Earth has a comet thing. It's just way far out, right? And that's what they think is there, right? So I don't really know how much these distances are to scale, because all of your pictures of the solar system have never been to scale with the actual distances between these things. Like, they're much further out than these nice concentric rings. But in the orbit of Nalthis is a cognitive anomaly.
So
Now-
let's do a quick vote, okay?
Okay.
Raise your right hand. This may look different on screen. Right hand if you think this is Silverlight. Left hand if you think this is Vax.
Okay, I love a binary choice.
Raise no hands if you think this is unrelated to either.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm gonna go. I kind of like Silverlight. To be honest, I kind of am digging that. I
Cool.
like that.
This is me raising no hands.
Okay.
I feel like these star charts were made by someone from Silverlight, so they would
that's a good
absolutely
point.
know where Silverlight was.
Like, what could this be? That's where our city is. Like,
yeah.
Look, in the cognitive realm, distances are weird. Can be hard. But yeah, you're right. That's
Yeah.
a good point. But
So, like, people who are up on their astronomy, who are not me, have pointed out that this cognitive anomaly is at one of Nalthis's Lagrange points.
Yep.
I don't
Ish.
put too much. I don't put too much stock in that because I don't. I mean, it looks like it that way, but one thing we don't know is whether this anomaly is like travels at a fixed distance
yeah.
relative to Nalthis. So are they both orbiting, or is the anomaly fixed there, and then Nalthis just goes around, and then every now and then just kind of goes over or through where the anomaly is, and then maybe funky things happen on the planet?
Okay,
that's
so
the one I find
to
more
explain what Lagrange points are,
Yep.
Oh yeah, probably
these
do that.
are points in like an object's orbit where another smaller thing can like safely like travel without spitting out into space. Basically, is my understanding.
It's like, yeah, it's like the gravity on it is neutral essentially. So it'll just, in theory,
Yeah,
stay
the
put.
interactions between like Nalthis and Nalthis's sun creates a point where like something can either be in it or orbit that small point and kind of travel with Nalthis at a fixed distance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm definitely
it's
more interested in it
astronomical.
being static, and them just passing through it periodically. I think that'd be a more interesting thing than traveling.
And it's worth mentioning that it's a cognitive anomaly. So the physical gravitational pull of Nalthis' star and Nalthis itself is not going to have an impact on that unless the reason there's a cognitive anomaly is because there is something in the physical realm that is weak.
It's because
And that is what I think is happening. There is something in the physical realm that is causing this anomaly.
Yes, Eric.
No. My stupid joke does not. We got too much to do to go with my stupid joke about how astrophysicists believe the Lagrange point was very important, and so it impacts the cognitive realm there.
Oh,
That's dumb.
no.
Let's just move past that.
I'm glad we still got there.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Yeah, I like there could be some sort of event that rippled through the realms that occurred at like when Nalthis was at that location. Then like something happened there,
Oh.
and then there's like this stuff, and there's like this ripple of it in the cognitive realm that's there.
That's plausible.
Oh. There is a big event that happened to Nalthis that has repercussions throughout the Cosmere.
What's that?
Nightblood.
I've
Nightblood
seen that
destroyed
suggested.
the other planet in the system.
Well, no, okay, so I don't obviously I don't have this like fully fleshed out, but so the creation of Nightblood itself is probably not something that would have caused a cognitive anomaly, whatever a cognitive anomaly is.
Yep.
Unless I was gonna say preservation, unless endowment interfered in such a like universally disturbing way to make this possible that it caused things. So I think that's a possibility, but it's not a very likely possibility. One thing I'm very interested in is as I was going over the words of Brandon from the past few events, a couple of times, I think, Brandon has been asked about taking Nightblood to the cognitive realm or through the cognitive realm.
Yes.
And in one of the events, in two of the events, in fact, he mentioned that bad things would happen if you took Nightblood unsheathed through a perpendicularity.
Well, we talked in our previous episode. Right.
Yeah. And so I'm wondering if what we are looking here is like the remains of a destroyed perpendicularity.
See, here's what I think. I think Nightblood is a bit implausible for anomaly, but who knows what a cognitive anomaly is? Like, we don't know. Here's what I think. I have always liked the theory that endowment has come to Nalthis fairly late in Nalthian history. And then that's what's causing, the returned and because awakening is a very new magic. So this could be the remains of some other conflict before we see it. Like maybe some other shard went to Nalthis prior. Or something, I don't know. We don't really see any magic of it, but something of an endowment's arrival to Nalthis, I think's plausible.
Yeah, I think it's like the last time we saw anything like a cognitive anomaly, like in my mind, was that weird X that is on that Aeon Maya or whatever it is, where there's like a whole bunch of Mia. Yeah, that's what I always said, but I know it's wrong. But essentially, it was a spot where there was a lot of life and thought, and that was kind of anomalous. So it was marked that little X. And I think it's weird that this one is in space, because traditionally space is not a cognitively
right. Yeah, no, that is very strange.
So like the impression I was getting, it's like in the cognitive realm, there's something weird going on there that they don't have an explanation for.
Yeah,
not necessarily like that. There's I don't know.
One thing that's probably worth bringing up is that even though these maps are not to scale, there is some scaling to them.
Yes.
The moons are smaller than the planets and things like that. And this cognitive anomaly is roughly the size of Nalthis, or at least roughly the size of a planet.
Yeah.
I feel like if it was like some small thing, it could have gotten like a dot.
It's the size of Nalthis,
significant,
and in Nalthis's orbit. So
it
seems like that had something to do with Nalthis.
Nalthis's cognitive aspect has been severed from the planet and is now lagging behind.
Who knows?
Nalthis died and was resurrected by a Fabrial.
No, by endowment. And
sure,
Nalthis is just a giant return, man.
Dude.
Oh boy.
The worst thing is that I can't even laugh at that because I can't
cognitive anomaly could mean whatever Brandon wants it to mean. It could literally be anything. This is the first time we've seen something like this. Also, I do like how the other planets are given return names as if the Halendren are the astronomers. So I like that.
And also the moon has the double consonant, which is also a Halendren thing.
Yeah, it's super. The only thing that's not Halendren is the planet name itself.
That's funny.
Yeah. But it's also like the Dromonad system is very based off of the Elikin naming conventions. And even that is not dominant on the planet itself.
Presumably these planets were named before Halendren was the thing. Right.
I don't know. These could even be in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like how you can see the little, what will be the Nalthis symbol on the planet too. So you can kind of check out a little preview of what that will eventually be, since we didn't get one.
That is, I believe, confirmed how the tears of Edgley actually kind of look like, or at least like the petals of the flower.
Right. Yeah.
So
high-res version, please, Isaac. Thanks.
Right.
Speaking of Isaac, let's cruise very rapidly into an Isaac AMA. One was asking about on the Oathgate map, that there were symbols, and Isaac said they're related to Dawnchant, but he needed to. They're on the right track that they're Silver Kingdom names. So that's kind of neat. There will be some Herald art in Stormlight 4. There will be eventually an art book for the Cosmere, probably after Stormlight 5. That's exciting.
I would love that. That's something I would pay $200 for. Easy.
Like a big, a nice art. Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Anything that's a book, I'm like, all right, I'm interested. Especially. And someone asked if they could have a tidbit about Nas. And Isaac said, I'm going to go out on a limb here and tell you that his hometown is probably called Cianalus or some variation on that spelling.
Isn't that like a prescription drug?
Everything about Naz's past is embarrassing.
Yep. And they're actively working on a girl who looked up a picture book. And there's a strong possibility of it happening. And you asked Isaac about the hemalurgic table. And Isaac said that he's gonna add a bloodier version of the table. Then we'll finally get it online, rather than the pictures I've taken. Because those are the only ones that are on the internet, really. The glossy paper was such a pain.
There's one more photo out there, which I think somebody else took. And so, like, there are two different thumbs there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they got it a bit before me, and I took this for for our podcast. So we could see it there. But
that'll be cool, though. I was a little disappointed in the hemalurgic table that was as I had seen it so far. Like, I thought it was a little blah. So
Isaac says it almost didn't make it into the leather bound.
Seems like it was a little rushed.
Think of it as prototypey, which is unfortunate because that went into a leather bound. But good news, we'll get a better version.
There's errors in every leather bound, so All right, time to go to Israel. And the first thing is that there is another reading of the Stormlight 4 prologue, so I'll put a timestamp in the description when we're done talking about it. There is really not much more to talk about from what we had before, other than the previous version of the prologue. We were like, where are the heralds? And then literally the next line after where Brandon stops, it's like, the tall Azish man with a birthmark. I'm like, oh, okay. And then they say nail later. I'm like, all right, okay. Well, so we got it under control here.
The man who calls himself Nail.
Yeah. And then the only other thing to note is that Kevlar's a dick.
So they also showcase his black spheres, as we've been calling them, in a few places in this new reading.
Yes.
There's a bunch of them laid out on the table, and he and Nail and somebody else, which we kind of been assuming is Clark, are having a conversation.
Yep.
Navani interrupts the meeting.
Yep. And then Gavilar and Navani have a great discussion. Oh boy.
As someone who loves Navani, I'm like, I'm glad you're dead, Gavilar.
Wow.
It's really been a descent for him.
It looks like they just have a bit of a fight, and then the reading ends with Gavilar hinting at dealing in secrets you could not handle, Navani.
Anytime, Gavilar. Book 5 prologue. Come on. Give it to us. Give us the secrets.
But it just reminds me of back in Bay of Kings, I think, where Navani makes the comment. It's like, Gavilar was not the man you think he was, Dalinar.
Yeah.
And Dalinar doesn't, just squashes that line of discussion. And it's like, oh, this is what she meant.
Pretty crap husband, looks like.
Yeah.
But she also has said that he wasn't abusive or there was a relationship there. It was just a strained one.
Yeah.
It was complicated.
It's not
complicated
for sure.
It's not
happy. It wasn't always as bad as it ended up becoming.
Kavalar was influenced by an unmade to strain Navani and Kavalar's relationship. Woo!
His interest in Braze formed a connection to Odium, and he was able to influence him.
That's right. Easy.
What a poor man.
But yeah, that's it. That's the addition to this reading. It definitely sounds like there's more.
All right. So with all this preamble, WoBs, lots of WoBs. We gotta cruise through WoBs. There's so many WoBs to talk about. Ian, start us.
Okay. So Storming Radiant asked whether Shashara could retrieve her breath from Nightblood, and Brandon said not by means she knew.
Cool.
Which makes sense, because it is sentient.
Yeah.
Shouldn't follow the same rules.
It also doesn't tell us what, like, it doesn't tell us whether this is practically impossible or whether this is just something that the Awakeners don't know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
So shrug. Cool.
Not surprising, but affirms things we kind of figured to begin with.
And the next one was Storming Radiant, also asking, hey, can Susubran break Nightblood's commands? And Brand's like, Susubran just isn't strong enough. So presumably you need to be very powerful to deal with things like that.
I don't even know what breaking Nightblood's command would essentially do. Because that, like, for Lifeless, it lets you control them. But Nightblood isn't like a mindless... Like, would it let you command Nightblood? Like, I don't even think that would be a thing that people would try to do.
It might allow you to change his command.
Yeah, because
Nightblood's weird.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's a juicy one though.
Yeah.
Somebody asks, and this is a paraphrased question, saying this because people are going to lose their minds. Is there a Dawn Shard in AMA?
Whoa.
And Braden says yes. Well, there definitely has been a Dawn Shard in AMA in the past. That is why it's been protected so well, obviously. Maybe it's still there, maybe not. That's an open question.
I think this might be the one thing that Brandon hasn't instantly raffoed about Dawn Shards. This is like a Dawn Shard fact that we don't have.
Yeah.
Like that Vax fact from last time is like, oh, wow, this is a thing that wasn't raffoed. Oh, neat.
It's not only one of the only things about the Dawn Shards that hasn't been raffoed, it's also one of the only things about AMA that hasn't been raffoed.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely felt like a solid theory beforehand, just based on how freaked out the Sleepless seemed to be at keeping Amy a secret. There might be something important there, but...
There has to be something there.
I mean, it's always been a plausible theory.
Where else could they all be? Obviously.
If the wording is anything close to the actual thing that Brandon said, like him thinking that it's obvious that Amy was so well protected because of a Dawn Shard, it's weird.
Obviously, you make the Soulcasters with a Dawn Shard. Come on, it makes sense. Why not?
Sure. Why not, actually?
I mean, these are all things that could concur.
And one of them does bind Spren. And maybe it binds
that's
Spren
true.
into Soulcasters.
That is true.
Yeah.
Known to bind...
Or is it... maybe it's not Spren.
All creatures, voidish or mortal.
Yep.
Are Spren mortal? See, now I'm disbelieving myself. I think you could do something with a Spren.
All creatures.
Unless the Dawn Shard is also playing into how it's protected. Like it's protected by a Dawn Shard.
Whoa.
Yeah. Which, like, the storm around Amia has always been a strange thing to me.
That's super
Or
weird.
not Amia, but like Akena specifically.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely not a natural phenomenon. And it's also not something that, as we understand the surges, you can accomplish. Like, maybe there's a weird combination where Windrunners or other users of their surges can shape a storm, but like it's a perpetual storm. So
I could be completely wrong. My impression reading Oathbringer, it's been a while, was that was a superstition. And they were like, "Oh, it's always really stormy around Amia."
No. So I'm like super confident about this. The way Kaza's interlude portrays this is they were they entered the storm and they were in a storm for a while, and then like the storm cut out. Like they were in a storm, and then a second later it was clear skies.
I do not remember that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'd have to reread.
Yeah. It's not a natural thing, so it's very bizarre.
Mhm.
I'm excited for 2 decades from now when we'll learn what's going on with Amia. Yay!
Looking forward to 2040.
Yep. Stormlight 9. The Amia stories. That's a novella, actually.
Of course.
It is. Yeah. No.
Well, I mean, we did think that the Risen novella could have been Risen traveling to Akana and her Larkin being like a key to let her in there, but that sounds like kind of insane. Like there's crazy stuff in Akana, I imagine.
Yeah, well, it's definitely supposed to be Amia related, though, is it not? I thought we had that confirmed. But
Larkin's
no.
We don't is it not? Okay.
Novella,
It's just been a
I don't
theory.
No, we don't know anything about the novella. Well, I mean, we don't know that, but the popular speculation is that because it's called Wonder Sail, it's going to be about her going like places.
David, do this next one.
At the end of Secret History, we see that Seize is being very shy with Kelsier. It seems like he's afraid of what he's going to do. Can you tell us about it? Brandon, carefully. Seize believes in Kelsier more than Kelsier does.
Good guy says.
Yeah, I think it's just like he thinks Kelsier is going to do the right thing, ultimately, even if it's going to be him kicking and screaming the whole way.
Or making other people kick and scream.
Yeah.
You know, from all the stabbing.
So this questioner asks if the royal family's hair can change color based on their emotion. Why is it only natural colors? And Brandon says they could go further than natural colors. Their perceptions influencing that. So usual perception mattering in the Cosmere.
Keep an eye out for pink-haired Vivenna in a second.
And more.
Microwave colored hair. I do like the bit in Brandon's answer where he emphasizes that, as in a lot of things in the Cosmere, the way you view how your abilities work shapes the actual abilities.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very nice, very short summary of a lot of phenomena.
Once you know how to do it, then it's easy. But until you do, it can be very hard.
If you don't know that you can do something, you probably can't.
Right.
Once you did it, I knew you could always do it.
You always could have done it in the spiritual realm.
I hate everything.
Great.
So this next one is about how Nightblood seems to have less of an effect on Vasher. And that's part, Vasher has a lot of experience with Nightblood. In part, there's something other going on with Vasher.
Of course there is.
Maybe Nightblood's just soft on him. He's fond. It's been a long time.
I mean, I would expect things to be different with Vasher because, like, that's one of the first people Nightblood experienced, period.
See, I don't think this has something to do with Nightblood's perspective on Vasher. This is something special about Vasher.
Yeah, that's how I'm reading it as well. And that's strange because as far as we know, there's nothing more special about Vasher than there is about like other returned or other scholars on Nalthis.
I mean, we don't
Vasher
know.
is Endowment's champion.
Right,
I
sure.
was
Why
just
not?
about to say that.
Or, Endowment did some stuff to Vasher and he has not fulfilled his goal yet, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had a hand in its construction. We don't know if that was just physical or if he in some way could have somehow else been involved. He's one of like its only 2 creators still alive. So
fair, yeah.
And I think it was more Shishara. But
if Shishara provided the breath, like then what was Vasher doing? Maybe he was the one who like crafted the sword.
I was just imagining him holding it for her. Like he's like, all right, just hold this. And he's like, okay. Anything else? Like
I'm just
No.
I'm imagining that we have 2 5 scholars with the word steel in their name, and yet the person who crafts the steel for Nightblood is not one of the 2 people who have steel in their name. And that is very amusing to me.
He just stole that from
them. Boo. So great. Vasher's endowment special stuff. Sure. That's the only thing I can think of. being weird with Vasher.
So many weird WoBs in these events. It's insane.
Oh, we're gonna get to some spicy ones about avatars.
Ooh.
But the next question touches on the Irie. And I think Brandon misunderstands the question. The questioner asks about the Irie on Roshar, obviously talking about the lighthouse keeper person, the guy we see all the way back in Elantris. And Brandon says that, are you talking about specifically the old ones? Yeah, they were. Why were they on Roshar? So those specific individuals, the Irie, as we call them, are a group of Elantrians that are not representing all Elantrians. They were there on the Roshar, on Cell, I guess.
Yeah.
Or on Roshar, it's not clear.
Cell, probably.
The one you've met is there for a specific reason. The Irie are involved there. They're mostly, where you've seen them is on schedule so far. Oh, right, with the fortress.
Yep.
But they are interested in Roshar. You were talking about the Lighthouse Keeper, I assume. So the Lighthouse Keeper would be counted, I guess, as one of the Irie and is there for a specific purpose, but it is not related to their general purpose that they're trying to achieve.
Okay, that makes sense.
I wouldn't have even assumed that guy was necessarily one of the Irie until Brandon confirmed it here.
We knew that actually previously.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. But also because Brandon just told us about it, like out of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was like an off. Like there was a question about the lighthouse keeper, and he's like, "Oh, the Irie." Like, oh, okay, we didn't connect that at all.
You know where it's all connected? Brandon's brain. All connections.
That is the spiritual realm. There you go.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Pretty much. There was another WoB a lot later about Irie fortresses, and the one in Scadrial is like the best constructed one. So that's related. So
he says that you wouldn't expect other like of similar size and stuff. Like there might be like outposts throughout the Cosmere. That one is kind of the biggest and more well established.
So basically, don't expect to see King Raoden chilling with the Irie because presumably they're some sort of Elantrian splinter group. I guess they don't represent Elantris.
No,
he could still join though.
He could. That's possible.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's. I would say it's more a subgroup than a splinter group.
Sure, that's fair. That's
fair.
That's fair.
Talk to us about the Emperor's Soul, David.
All right. I love talking about the Emperor's Soul. This questioner asks, also, the Emperor's Soul, will we see Shy in future books? And Brandon said, you will see Shy in future books. I came with a really good idea for a sequel for her also. I don't know if and when I can write to it. There's a really solid idea I have for one, so we'll see. But she'll make appearances. She is around. So Shy World Hopper, secondarily confirmed again.
Not confirmed, but I love that idea.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm calling it.
The fact that he has a really solid idea for a sequel. Because up
exciting.
until this point, he's been very emphatic that it's like, I really like what I did with the Emperor's Soul. I don't want to ruin it with as a sequel.
It's easy
unless
one
I have a really
says,
good idea.
I don't want to Lucas it up, is what he says.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if he has he seems to think he has a good idea for a sequel, which I am very excited.
When Brandon has an idea he's excited about, generally we like those ideas. So this next one is a fairly long one where the questioner asks when Elantris 2 is going to be out. And the real answer is after Stormlight 5, Brandon is going to alternate Mistborn Era 3 and Elantris. So he's thinking after Stormlight 5, because he can probably do one a year of these books, that he'll do Mistborn Era 3, Book 1, Elantris 2, then Book 2 of Era 3, Elantris 3, then Book 3 of Era 3.
And these would be his in between Stormlight.
Yep,
releases.
between 5 and 6.
So we are... between 5 and 6.
Yes.
Yeah. He's going to do this all between... He'll do Stormlight 5 because he always said that he will take a break from writing Stormlight. So, like, that's what he's going to fit in. Because when would he have time to do this if he was doing Stormlight?
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
well, so I was thinking Stormlight, Mistborn, Stormlight, Elantris, Stormlight, Mistborn, Stormlight, Elantris. But that's not what he says.
Yeah, it's because like Era 3 is going back to like more of the epic level. Like he didn't want to. He can't fit those between Stormlight like he can Era 2.
Yeah.
He did say he'll do Wax and Wane 4 after Stormlight 4, so good.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
Yeah.
But you know,
Finally gonna find the lost.
Nothing new for Era 2 to have long breaks in its publication schedule, so whatever.
It's got to be the like. There's the book one, and then I'm not sure I'm going to write a sequel, and then 2 sequels within months of each other, and then another several year gap.
Oh, that one, the other several year gap wasn't intentional. At least it was just scheduling.
Yeah. So this next one is from Nimrod Rappaport, who is talking about how Brandon has said there are 3 major civilizations on Cell. Like there's the ones we see in Elantris, then there's the Rose Empire, and then there's a mystery third one out there. And he goes in to talk a little bit about like his inspirations, but then he goes on, is like, you've seen one that's European inspired, you've seen one that's Asia/Eastern inspired, so you might be able to theorize where the Third Empire's inspirations might be, or at least a list of possible candidates.
Africa?
That'd be
Or,
so
like,
cool.
Consider the Australian Empire.
Australian would be cool. Another possibility is like American, like Native American.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he is also playing with that in the Rhythmatist.
Yeah.
So he might not do it for Cell as well.
Yeah, and that's been like a research reason. It seems like he's generally suggested. So, I mean, like, unless he wants to do the research now, like, you know, it's still he's gonna have to do, like, if he doesn't feel like he can write it, then he's gonna have to do that research at some point. So,
Africa,
I could definitely see it being somewhere else.
I
would love
also
Africa.
think African is the most plausible.
That sounds
That's
awesome.
what I've always been assuming as well. Yeah.
That sounds great. I'm excited.
Yeah, I don't know when we'll see these domains, but I'm
well,
excited for them.
Well, we don't know what Elantris 3 is even going to be about, because Elantris 3 won't have the same main characters as Elantris 2, right? There's always time jumps, so who knows what Elantris 3 is even going to be about? Like, it could be anything.
I guess. I feel like 1 is going to end up kind of unexplored, because we're going to have 2 on the Elantris continent ultimately, and so the third one can be somewhere else, but 1 won't get a book, if that makes any sense.
Well, the Rose Empire gets the novellas, easy.
Oh yeah, the long, in-depth world building exercises that they are.
Yeah.
An old kind of idea for the second Elantris book was Kai-Ain's children going to Sfjordel, I believe.
Yeah, no, I think that's still what it's going to be.
That's still the plan.
And so that's going to give us an opportunity to explore, while that is still kind of the same domain, right, as Elantris, that's the European-centric domain. It gives us an opportunity to explore something that's very different from Elantris.
It is very different.
True.
Which is the Fjordell Empire. And so from that point in book 3, maybe we can do a bit of an exploration in the third domain of Cell.
And
cool.
I think Fjordell has more connections with the other domains. Like we see Fjordell ambassador, a Georn, in Emperor Soul.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And like there's a lot of mentions there to like Svorden and Jindo, which are now under the control of Fjordell.
The Fjordell sending priests to convert other places? Say it isn't so. That's totally out of character for them. But yeah, so they would probably explore lots of things. They had Wern has a big fleet and stuff as well. So like
there's like
Erelon
is massive empire.
Yeah.
Erelon is very insular.
Yep.
Elantrians didn't really like care about like anything outside of there.
They didn't need to care.
They didn't need to.
I would not.
They also
kind of couldn't.
Yeah, they couldn't. They didn't want to, and they couldn't.
Yeah, it's really interesting how the power dynamic works on Cell, right?
Isn't it?
Because all of these places are so like regionally locked, and it seems like there is some maybe purely like literary connection between how much power you have and like what your influence. So like Elantrias are extremely powerful, but also they're like pretty confined in Aerolon and to a very small extent Teal'c, I guess. Whereas the Fjorddale Empire is like super massive, and the priests have like from the monasteries can have power anywhere, and they sacrifice people for power. But also they're not as powerful as Elantrians.
I don't think we know enough about how the Dakor magic works.
Getting really excited about Elantris sequels right now, guys. Like there's so like Fjordell, like there's lots of stuff to do in Fjorden. So much. There's Wyrn stuff, Skazy stuff, probably a lot of Dominion stuff, Jadith stuff, so much. Some Savrakis, you know? Who knows?
Only 5 short years away.
Huh. And then
keep that hype, because
we'll need to wait.
Stormlight Gap's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
It'll be annual though. That's what I'm excited about. Is even if it's short, it'll be like parceled out a little more judiciously. So it'll be like a book a year, just kind of.
The difference between a 400,000 word book and a 200,000 word book is very considerable, because a bigger book you have to plan a lot better to turn it out well. It's not a linear amount of time that you need to take. 4 times as long of a book doesn't take just 4 times as long to do.
So the next question comes from Yahel26 or Yael26, and it's a paraphrased question, which I seem to be getting a lot this time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Since the gemstones on shard blades seem to be infused with Stormlight, could a Surge Binder draw that Stormlight and use it? And so that's, I believe, going back to how after the Recreance people figured out that they could put gems inside their blades, and that allowed them to bind or to bond with the blades and summon them.
Yep.
And so Brandon says, no, he couldn't. You see, the Stormlight is the shard bearer's life energy. You wouldn't be able to draw it, just like I can't draw your own life energy from you. If you were to extract the gemstone from the shard blade, it is possible. And then the gemstone would go dark.
Okay. Here's, as the person who knows a little about shard blades, this does not make sense to me.
Why is that? Explain.
Because, so, essentially, if there's a gemstone on the blade, it is by definition a dead blade, unless for some reason this friend wanted someone to put a gemstone on it.
Yes.
Because those are all post things.
Okay.
Those gemstones aren't even necessarily infused. They do not have to be for you to be able to summon the blade or dismiss it. Correct. It just has to exist. Navani mentions that specifically. So if you're drawing your own life force from this shard blade that has a gemstone, it shouldn't be your bonded spren. It's just a dead blade. Like, it just doesn't make any.
So,
and it doesn't glow when you, like, on its own when you draw it. Like, that isn't something that happens or has been described to happen.
What you thinking, Ian?
So do we see like examples of when this the gemstone on like a dead blade is done?
It definitely, like, Navani makes a point to say it does not need to be infused for it to function. And I don't know, honestly, when they would recharge those gemstones, because they would have to make their shard blade undismissible to do that, or at least swap it out pretty quickly, like, or at least like regularly. But
okay, because like what I was thinking was like when you put possibly when you put a gemstone in, like it automatically becomes infused with like the spren that is the sword's investiture.
No. I don't think that's what's happening here, because
I know, but like I know I was saying then, like, then it makes sense why you can't draw the Stormlight out of the gem, because it's not actually Stormlight; it's part of the spren.
But it's not plausible. It's the person, not the spren.
But like the spren has a bond with the person, and then it's all complicated.
But so
kind of,
he's very, because that's what in my initial reading, I thought this was referring to the spren, but it's talking about the shard bearer. And even if it's paraphrased, there's like this second part where he's talking about life energy specifically. And I think what that means is in the process of you bonding a blade, right? The gem doesn't need to be infused, right? You're basically forging a connection with yourself and that dead blade, right? And the gemstone's facilitating that. And then it flashes, right? That flashing.
Yeah.
So what you're doing, it's reminding me of the 10 heartbeat thing where you're syncing your life force to the spren and it's awakening. You're like bringing it back to life. That life force. That's what's happening.
And it's
like
definitely
that.
Plausible that they do glow always when you summon them, even if they're done. It just has not been described to be that way. So it could be that is just something Brandon hasn't made clear in the text. But yeah,
I mean the gem isn't often mentioned, to be honest. On a lot of times blades are used. So I think that's what's happening. It's that life force of the bearer making that connection with that dead spren.
And
that's the only thing
like,
that makes sense.
Even if there is Stormlight in the gem making it glow, the life energy going through the gem to make that connection probably like shields that Stormlight, just like how your natural body like shields like Investiture.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
The identity
I'm not
field.
Interested in figuring out.
Identity field, yes.
Hate it.
I'm not excited in figuring out how to incorporate this into the Shardblade article, but we'll figure it out.
Okay. I kind of see that. I was wondering if where Brandon allegedly says you see the Stormlight is the Shardbearer's life energy, whether that's a mistake and he actually said the Shardblade's life energy.
True.
It's entirely possible.
Because then I feel like it makes more sense.
It does feel like it makes more sense. I agree.
Right, because you have the blade and you have the gem, and the gem is essentially one with the blade in terms of like investiture. And so the same way you can't draw Stormlight from somebody who is like holding Stormlight, you can't draw the Stormlight from a blade that's holding the
unless
Stormlight.
You're a Larkin.
Right. But I think I really think that because we see the gemstone flash when it's bonded, like it's about that bond with the Shardbearer, so I don't think that it actually is a mistake.
But this does warrant further questions to Brandon.
This is probably like the weirdest gemstone interaction. If this is actually what's happening, it's like, oh yeah, your life force goes into it and it makes the gem shiny. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm supposed to just accept that, I guess.
Obviously.
Obviously, there's a Dawn Shard there.
Yeah. And
all right,
we're done with Icon.
Great.
Yep, moving on to Tel Aviv. I think I said that right because it's a real place.
You did.
All right. This next one is coming from Nextoral, it looks like. Question about Bavadin. Is she a hive mind? And Brandon responds, no, hive mind isn't the right word for it, but Nextoral responds again, so she's not an Amian or something like that. And Brandon confirms that she is not an Amian, which would be kind of crazy.
That to be fair, that if that was true, that would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Dragon, yeah.
Fortunately, she's not an Amian, so we don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
We're going to see.
Yeah, we're going to see a very cool thing about avatars in this. Don't you worry. It's pretty crazy.
If only we had access to this last time we recorded.
I know. Well, you know what? This is airing right after our autonomy cast, so that's fine. That's totally fine. All right. This next one is from Kifir W and asks, did Teravangian meet the Night Watcher or Cultivation? Brandon, Cultivation, good question. That is just like a very casual mention of something very big.
Yep.
Makes me believe that she also met Left. Like, I'm honestly basically convinced of that.
We have a word of Brandon on that as well, David. Actually, that actually, yeah. So,
okay. Well, we'll have to see in real time whether or not I'm right.
We'll read that. I like that you guys don't. A lot of times don't read the words of Brandon ahead of time, so you're just like, oh wow, these are hot takes. I like it.
You're getting the live reactions.
That's
we
right.
Want authenticity here.
It's so authentic.
But super cool though. Like I definitely lends more weight to the theory that cultivation has a plan that heavily, and like Teravangian is an instrument of cultivation, and not cultivation going like just figure that out. Like we'll see what
Teravangian is a plant.
It's a plant.
Cultivation would make him into a plant, wouldn't she?
I can't take credit for that. Somebody on Discord or maybe the forums
that is good.
Came up with that.
But it's a good one.
Whoever that is, congratulations.
So this next questioner asked whether you could Nihil bond a spren who is not one of the 10 subtypes.
Oh,
really,
this is a
9
crazy
plus
one.
3 random
It
ones.
is.
And
I've been calling
Brennan's-
them Radiant Friend.
Yeah.
And Brennan says, meaning, are there other possible spren that could form other orders of Knights Radiant that are not the 10? This is theoretically possible, but that is basically what you could argue is happening to Renarin.
Oh, okay.
So now if you want to throw out the exception of spren who were one of the 10 who got changed, then this is theoretically possible, but right now currently wouldn't work.
Huh.
Okay. This proves a theory that I've kind of had for a while.
Oh yeah.
And the theory was like literally the opposite. Like I didn't think there was anything too special about the 10 radiant types of spren other than, well, they were like the first ones with enough juice in them to be able to replicate the abilities of the honor blades. But like if you could find another spren with a similar investiture level or power level or like similar mind capabilities, then why wouldn't you be able to bond with something like that? Because AVR bonds are very, very similar to Nihil bonds. Sion bonds are very similar to Nihil bonds. And now, mind you, those don't grant nearly the same level of power.
It's a little more dramatic.
Yeah.
Right. But those also don't have this entire like tiered system of oaths and cultivating your bond and things like that, right? So it's kind of like sub-level 1 Surge Binder type of thing with those, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking, why wouldn't you be able to do that with other types of spren? And it just says no.
Clearly there's something else going on. Maybe the interaction of the way the surges panned out. I don't know.
There was a WoB a long time ago about certain pairs of surges being just like natural pairings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's why the 10 honor blades are those 10
honor
pairs.
blades. Yeah.
And so the 10 types of spren might be like hooking into that system.
Yeah.
And so any other spren wouldn't have a quote unquote natural pairing of surges to like imitate.
Right. Because honor just chose the best ones for the honor blades.
I don't
for the plot.
Well, it's not like he picked like, yes, these two go together. I think he just created the 10 honor blades and they just naturally formed those pairs. I don't think it was an active choice on his part.
No, well, I don't think he like chose specific surges, but he just saw what surges were and was like, if I were to design a weapon, this is the best way I could make those weapons. And maybe with enough investiture, presumably you could make an honor blade. That's something else. But why would I expend those resources when these are just the best pairs for these, you know?
It's like, I kind of viewed it as how like preservation didn't pick the elementic metals. It's like those metals just have those abilities and they naturally have pairs and all of that.
Sure.
More.
Yeah.
Like the pushing and the pulling metal.
I definitely think the natural pairings is like something about like the interaction between the realms and Roshar, like just like how Scadrial, like that stuff sort of happened that way. So I do agree.
Yeah, but like I guess like Tanavas could have seen it as like, okay, these are naturally paired in this way. I'm not going to break nature.
This is the
do other things.
I kind of think of them as the surges or the pairings of surges kind of being like channels.
Right.
And so you can flow the water through the channel very easily, or you can expend a lot of energy and resources to like forge a new channel.
Cool.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. And there might be like honestly some sort of, we know that the searches are cultural. There could be some cultural assumptions going into this that are like impacting it in some way. Like if the humans paired the searches first, I feel, and that was how they viewed them, I do feel like that would have an impact on how it would end up falling out. Because we know the searches aren't actually empirically anything when they're transformation and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, they're kind of outgrowths of the abilities rather than the abilities being an outgrowth of the searches.
Yeah, so
it's complicated.
It's very complicated.
It gets complicated. It's spiritually that should be a relationship status on Shard Book. It's like,
oh god,
it's spiritually complicated.
Yeah.
Speaking of Spren, Evgeni.
Well, even before that, important to note that this is I think the first confirmation we have that Renarin Spren was a Radiant Spren before.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's implied, but
it's kind of being implied, but it's never been confirmed. And there was always the possibility that, because Renarin is weird, spiritually complicated, really. There has always been the possibility that something even more weird is going on there. And so this is a confirmation that Gliss was a Truth Watcher Spren that was corrupted by Xanat.
Enlightened, thank you very much.
And not a Dawn Shard. Like
not a Dawn Shard. Obviously. Obviously, David.
There goes my theory.
The other hashtag.
I'm gonna use the word obviously for Dawn Shards from that's a new meme.
There you go.
Like asterisk. Obviously, we need to go to the next question of Kenny, which is also about Spren.
Yeah, let's talk about more Spren. Somebody asks about what kind of order the Reachers on the Shadesmar ship, which order of radiance they would create, and Brandon will answer that in the next book, allegedly, but we kind of know that they're will shapers.
Yeah, we know that.
The more important thing here is that we will have pictures of all of the Radiant Spren and their bonds.
I don't know what that means, but I'm excited.
Except the bondsmiths, obviously.
Obviously. Yeah. I didn't even read in this document that Brandon said obvious.
I honestly, I hope they do the bondsmith Spren later, but yeah.
Yeah, no, you know this thing where like sometimes you either learn a new word or like a word gets stuck in your head and now you use that word all the time.
Obviously,
like there was this one time where for like three consecutive events during some tour, Brandon was talking about things being a strange duck.
What?
Like that's how he would respond to something being strange. Like, yeah, but the spiritual realm is a strange duck. And that's a phrase that he used like in these 2 or 3 events, never before, never after.
It just got stuck in his head.
You know what I have to say with that, Evgeni?
Tell me.
Obviously, it's a strange duck. Well, cool. I think that is very neat.
I am extremely hyped about pictures of Spren.
Exciting arcs that give us lore. Oh yeah, give me lore.
So probably the reason we're not getting to bondsmiths is obviously.
Oh, because
bondsmiths are weird. Like there's only 3 Spren, and they're all very different Spren.
Yeah, you can't group them into just one thing.
Yeah.
I just want a big Stormfather picture. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Yeah, but like this and their bonds. Is very.
Maybe that just means it's going to be labeled as the Spren that gives will shapers or something, right? So. Like that could be very simple.
Yeah, it could be with their Radiant. That'd be kind of odd. Like I feel like they kind of have shied away from direct obvious art of the main characters, but like I guess they could put like their bondmate in it, and Brennan just missed that part. But yeah,
I don't think they will put like Gliss
Kaladin.
Yeah,
I mean they do. There is a picture of Adolin
But like, it's not like this is Adolin colon. Like, if you like look at it, you're like, and you like read it a little bit, you're like, oh, this must be Adolin. But it's not like this is what Adolin looks like. We're canonizing his picture, his appearance right here. You know, it's a little quieter.
Yeah. But crack theory. What if like they tried to like make a like 2D representation of like the actual Nihil bond and its structure?
Yeah, I was actually thinking something similar about like something to do with the bond and the oaths and how the different oaths unlock different things in the bond or something like that. It seems extremely not only difficult but also implausible. Like it's far more likely that this is just, hey, we're gonna give you all the spread except the bondsmiths.
Will
and
shaper
we're gonna say,
spread.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it's gonna be pictures of them. So
that's super cool. That's hype. That's super hype. You know what else is hype, David? This next one.
In the cognitive realm? All right, let's see. So this is from just an anonymous questioner. So you said the only two ways to really world hop are cognitive realm or FTL. Brandon, I did not say that. I said, the question interrupts, so there could be another way. And Brandon goes, yes, I said if you couldn't use Shadesmar, there is another way. I did not say there are only two ways. And that's basically the essence of it. There are more than two ways to...
There could be more than two ways.
Stop interrupting Brandon when he's giving you lore.
He definitely says there is another way, Ian, before he says there could be another way. So, and like, I believe that to be the Oathgate travel.
It's like, well, no, he says if you couldn't use Shadesmar, there is another way.
Is there another way?
No, Brandon says there is another way, Eric. Unless I'm reading the wrong thing.
I mean, the end is, so there could be more ways, more than two ways, ? Yes.
Well, like the words in the order they appear. I said, if you couldn't use Shadesmar, is there another way? You're transposing the two words.
Oh, I'm just reading it.
So whether or not there is a third way of getting around, maybe.
This is
like he already has talked about it. He said that that there is teleportation in the Oath Gates and it's instantaneous, and he would like to do that with how they traveled from Ashen to Rishar if possible. So
yeah,
I guess that's true. Like, this is not noteworthy to me, but
okay, I guess that's fair.
Yeah,
cool.
Maybe something to do with the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
That seems to be the implication that's how he wants that.
You can't go through Shadesmar. Where else are you gonna go? You physical, cognitive, or spiritual?
Yeah. And how exactly that works is going to be a question mark.
This next one is not a Cosmere related question, but it is relevant because Starsight is coming out on November 26th. So that's pretty cool. So this one is about Cytonics. This questioner asks, can Cytonic people potentially use all the abilities from Defending Elysium? Brandon, potentially yes. So Mind Blades and things like that. Mostly I'm kind of pushing people into specialties a little bit more, like I've done with Mistborn, where you generally better at one thing than another. So you may see some divisions of powers, but they're all capable of it. Cytonic
Doomslug Mind Blades win.
I think this is really cool. I actually like this a lot. Limitations make for interesting story delivery vehicles, and so you're kind of having best of both worlds, right? You have your characters gain access to the entire suite of abilities, but you're also making it so like each is stronger in different things, and so you have this dynamic between them where like you need the team play and the interaction, and I think that's great.
It's pretty cool. It actually reminds me of something that Brian McClellan, who's Brandon's student, did in his Powder Mage book. So I like that. It's kind of funny.
So this questioner asks, all the shards basically agreed not to settle on the same planet. 6 of them that we know of immediately basically broke that. To which Brandon answers, so they did not make an oath to it. There was a suggestion made, and perhaps the people who made the suggestion did not understand that. If you want the shards to do something, you need an actual oath, and they did not get one.
I feel like Endowment made that suggestion because, or at least was it pro that group who made that suggestion, because they seem to take this pact very seriously.
Yeah,
but this is definitely an explanation for how Honor, he did not break an oath.
I never
Somebody
made
a suggestion, and he's like, "Nah, that's stupid. I'm going to go with my wife."
Yep.
Yeah. It's like when people make a suggestion, you're like, what was that? I'm sorry, I'm just...
It makes sense that these newly ascended have no idea how to properly bind people in that very initial stage. It's like, hey guys, let's not... We really screwed up Yolan, I guess. Screwed that place up. Let's not do that again and not, like, fight. Yeah, I guess, sure. And then they left, and then they're like, yeah, nah.
No, but even more than that. Also, FYI, I said pretty much the same thing like 2 episodes ago, so this is a confirmation of my theory. So great,
Fantastic.
This goes back to the conversation Dalinar and Odium had the first time. I think the first time when Odium shows up in his visions, where Odium explains briefly things like that need to be done with proper intent. You can't just like trick someone to say words.
Yeah.
Like they have to not only mean them, they have to understand what the meaning behind this entire power binding agreement is. And so very early in the Shard's life, like the Shards, right? One, they either didn't know, or they. Well, I mean, no, they probably didn't know.
You're
so
like
they
weaker than
they
Sazed.
could have just, yeah. So they could have said, okay, we're not gonna do the thing, but like, there might be like a magical, intent that needs to go into that they were not aware that they need to put in there.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like they at that point they probably didn't know they could be bound by an oath.
Yeah.
So of course, like they couldn't be bound by an oath.
I think it's that the investiture is being bound by that intent. You know, when you intend that, then like the investiture is kind of being binded into that way.
I wonder, like, this is kind of speculative, but I wonder if the people who kind of like agreed to that and meant it could possibly be held by that, and others who didn't are not. So is it possible like some shards are controlled by this pact and others are less so because they didn't like possibly like verbalize like a yes, I agree to that? Or do you think no one is bound by this and some of them just choose to honor it?
Anyone is technically bound, because like the agreement between ruin and preservation might be along these lines. So I don't think like if it was intended to be like we as the shards are making this agreement, unless it was unanimous, I don't think that agreement holds.
Okay.
Interesting.
Even if like half of them are like, yeah, like I'm 100% for this, like I intend to make this binding. If like the others like don't,
it's
then
conditional.
It's like, it fizzles.
Yeah, it's like predicated on it being unanimous. Okay, I can see that.
I actually don't agree with that. I think it is possible that some of them are bound with an oath. Even if like the precondition is not met by everyone.
Really depends on what the intent of that thing was. If those shards who made the suggestion, what they intended, and if it was just a suggestion and they didn't put any power behind it, then the answer is definitely no. So we don't really know, but this is really exciting lore.
Though probably like if like endowment was like, I'm intending to make an oath of non-intervention, that she could be bound by. But that is her own oath. It's not part of this overall like agreement between shards.
I guess I just don't see any reason for a shard to intentionally hamstring themselves unless they all agree to hamstring themselves in that way.
I mean, presumably they shattered Adonalsium because like they wanted to do something with the pieces.
Or they just really didn't like Adonalsium for whatever reason. Like, there's a lot of reasons.
Sure. Yeah, but like the fact that they're agreeing to something, I was gonna say they're making oaths, but they're not making oaths. That's the problem. The fact that they're agreeing to something suggests a level of team play to me that maybe it's just a hunch.
Well, I don't know if they knew that it would break into 16 pieces and they descend. Like, I don't think that was the plan. Maybe.
Well, they said that Odium is what he wanted to be and what they made.
Oh,
like
okay,
they made
I guess
be.
that's
so.
true.
I do feel like
Yeah,
they had some idea what was going to happen.
But we also don't know like how long it was between the shattering and the ascension of the first shards.
Yeah.
They might have had a time for like a short conversation. It's like, okay, this thing is breaking into pieces. What do we do?
Yeah.
But like if Aiden Elysium, I don't know. This is kind of a tangent, but like if they didn't even know that being a holder was strictly possible potentially, like if Aiden Elysium didn't have one, how could they even? Like, I don't know. They must have either really known what they were doing or really not known what they were doing.
There are so many permutations, but this is a very big insight to very early Cosmere history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Give me that. Let's go to Prague. Yeah, let's leave it at that.
Go to Prague.
Yeah.
Good beer and good food and also good questions.
Good questions.
And good questioners.
And not
great place.
And not the good question, and Brandon's like, oh, yeah, good question. But like, good question.
The first one comes from an unknown questioner and asks Brandon for something about the elf scholars that we don't know. And Brandon says, they should be able to get back out of Shadesmar without having to find a perpendicularity. But Yasna doesn't know how to do it yet. She should be able to do that. She just hasn't figured it out.
That's exciting.
Okay. How did she get out of Shadesmar at the end of Words of Radiance? Do we think that was Honor's perpendicularity and there was no sign in the physical realm that it had manifested right there in the middle of nowhere?
I think it has to be.
So if we go back to the quote-unquote deleted scene.
Yeah.
Ivory there speaks of looking for a stable perpendicularity.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Explicitly. And so I wonder if Honor's perpendicularity is not that it moves necessarily, but it's unstable in the sense that it's here and then it's there kind of thing. Right.
Yeah, right.
We also have a mention of unstable perpendicularities in the Threnodite system. Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Right.
I think in the Threnodite.
Yeah, no, it is. It's the Threnodite one.
Yeah.
See, I would almost like flip what you said, where it's like, because are you saying that Honor's perpendicularity is unstable?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know what I'm saying. Like, because I could go both ways, right? So on one hand, we could say Honor's perpendicularity is unstable / moves, because I don't have the deleted scene. I don't see exactly what Ivory said. And so it was a matter of like Yasna and Ivory finding the place where the perpendicularity would be at a specific time, and so that allowed her to pop out. Or alternatively, Honor's perpendicularity is stable. It's just that it moves, and so the perpendicularity Yasna got out of on the Shattered Plains was not Honor's perpendicularity or Cultivation's perpendicularity. It was a perpendicularity.
Oh,
and it kind of like a tiny, like a door, right? And so it appeared for a little bit. She could get out, but it would have gone away soon after, like Fizzy Bubbles.
Yeah, so I do agree that we should disconnect it moves and is it stable?
True.
Because I think Honor's perpendicularity is 100% a stable perpendicularity. Like it always exists. It just doesn't always exist in the same place.
Okay.
Whereas like the Threnodite unstable perpendicularities, it's like sometimes they exist.
Yeah.
Maybe in the same place, maybe in different places, but it's like they're transient. It's like it's not like it's okay, like they're always making like new perpendicularities. It's not like this is Ambition's perpendicularity. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's like no, these are just like kind of what I think Argent was saying with like the like it was a stable perpendicularity, though I don't think if it disappears, I don't think it's stable.
Let me quote the deleted scene real quick because this is relevant.
Okay.
Towards the very end, Yasna asks, can I use light to return? And Ivory says, here? No. We must find a stable junction. Honor's perpendicularity, perhaps, though it is very distant.
Just as a note for people listening, that's not strictly canon, so we can kind of look at it to try to understand, but something may have changed from this scene.
Yeah, because it hasn't gone through continuity and the drafts that canon scenes would have.
I feel like something as fundamental to how the Cosmere works, something that comes more from Brandon's head than from like continuity fixes.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. If I do remember correctly, Brandon was not sure on the terminology he was using at that point. So like junction may or may not end up being something he continues to use. Because he does use it earlier on in the deleted scene. Because she was looking for the one that like she created to get back out. And she's like, before she realized like, no, she's like 100% there.
Which is kind of interesting because she normally, when she like astral projects and need a junction to get out, like
that's one of the things that might not be 100% canon anymore.
Yeah.
Well, the astral projection thing is not traveling. You're not going to Shadesmar.
I know, but like she acts like she's used to having to take a junction back out, and she is not normally traveling into Shadesmar when she does it. So I feel like that's indicative of her soul casting powers more so than her transportation powers.
Huh. But I think the fact that even in a deleted scene, Honor's perpendicularity is referred to as stable is something we can confidently take away as
it exists,
almost canonical.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sold on that. Yeah. Okay.
So it's like, is this Honor's perpendicularity? Is it not?
It's really hard to say. So it just
I
reminded me that it's a very open question how Yasna actually got out of the cognitive realm. That warrants further discussion.
If you want potentially a reprobate question, ask Brennan. You've said Yasna can't get out of Shadesmar without a perpendicularity. She does that at the end of Words of Radiance. Was Honor's perpendicularity there? Or was this something else?
All right. This one's from Snox Catco.
Yeah, as you do.
Snox Catco. It's like Costco. Why is Lift different in the way she processes investiture? Brandon, she was created that way specifically by an act of cultivation. Okay, so she went to see the Night Watcher. Brandon, yes.
So that that's not as explicit as the Teravangian one.
But an act of cultivation by the Night Watcher seems implausible. So,
yeah, you could argue that all acts of like things that created by cultivation are by definition, by the transitive property, are.
You could argue that, but should you?
I don't think Brandon is being coy in this one, or being like intentionally like. If the question was Lift created by an act of cultivation, and Brandon said yes, then I think we could have a lot more grounds to argue that Brandon is just being non-committal. And technically, like, is this and this related? Yes.
What is an action?
Yeah.
Right. But in this case, I think Brandon is using act of cultivation in a very similar way to how we've used in the past direct shardic interference or something.
Yeah. And like both of these things can be true. Like Lift can have gone to see the Night Watcher and still, in the same way Dalinar did, was
absolutely.
Cultivation.
Yeah,
so I think this is very, very likely now.
Considering how weird Lift is, right? But it really does seem like after Cultivation did some stuff with Dalinar, which sounds very much weirder than I initially intended that sentence to be,
in the jungle.
That she interacted with Teravangian and then I guess Lift,
However, I was just reminded of another word of Brandon about Lift's visit to the Night Watcher, where he said that Lift asked for something very weird, and the Night Watcher did not know how to handle that, so she gave her something equally weird.
I definitely think that could be similar to Dalinar. Like Dalinar asked the Night Watcher for something that she didn't know how to give, and to be fair, she didn't give. The Night Watcher didn't ultimately give him. It was something from cultivation. But
like, I think the way Brandon says, Night Watcher did something weird to Lift.
And there is the thing where the Stormfather blames the Night Watcher for Lift being weird, like, the Night Watcher went too far, right? There's that too.
I won't eat a shoe, but I believe this to be true. So
these are like the major things, and like I have to imagine that like cultivation did the major ones.
It would feel like it, right? But also this could be one of the things that Brandon is actually not decided on, right? Because technically, I mean, so unless Lift is some part of cultivation's grand plan for Roshar or whatever, she doesn't need to have been directly influenced by her or by her, right? Yeah. And worst case scenario, you can have Lift going and actually seeing the Night Watcher, and then behind the scenes, cultivation's like, here, do this thing to the Night Watcher.
Yeah, part of me just really wants it to be the Night Watcher, because it's just so amusing to me that, because the Stormfather is like, when he's like so like offended about Lift's existence, it's totally a sibling bond there between him and the Night Watcher. And it's just like, oh, my little sister is just like messing with my stuff, like, grrr. And
sorry, a sibling bond?
Yeah, sibling bond.
See, I definitely see like
I liked it. I did like that. That was good.
Like a situation in which the Lift shows up, and it's like when you get like a homework question when you're little and you don't know what to do, and you like ask your mom. And so like Lift shows up and she wants to stay still, and Night Watcher's like, Mom, what do I do with this? And she's like, try something. And then she's like, all right, we'll try. Yeah. And then Lift turns out weird, and they're like, all right, well.
Then there's a word of Brandon, which is kind of interesting, where Brandon says, there's no associated question, but Brandon just says, I don't think there are any world hoppers that people have missed. I think they know all of them that there are hints about. So I can just write that most people missed Felt, but that's not going to make you very happy. But we still haven't identified the Kandra world hopper, but I guess Brandon's just saying the big world hoppers that are connecting here.
Yeah.
We've seen them.
And he has said that there are Rasharan world hoppers that we've failed to identify, but it might be that there aren't really any hints about them.
Like they're not on screen, maybe. Like they exist, but we haven't seen them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you know all of them that there are hints about.
Sure. Yeah.
The whole Terrace Woman nurse thing still blows my mind. Like there are just no clues that is her.
I don't like it. And people latched onto that so early on. And it was like,
because it was the only option. Like there was no one else it could be.
Where's Waldo?
For those who don't know, Brandon once said that, hey, there's a Terrace Woman world hopper in Warbreaker. And it's the nurse that was like tending to Lemix.
Yeah.
And, like she's the only option to who it could be.
There's not that many Nalthian named characters, you know?
No, she's not even named.
She's not even named.
It's just like the only like reasonably significant female figure.
That's not a
reasonably significant. Yeah. She shows up for less than half a page. Like
that's more than like any other unnamed woman.
The cook back in what's that place? Is more significant than her.
Yeah, but
significant in quotation marks.
You're just mad because you didn't see it.
And I still like it's a blind guess is why I hate it. Not because I didn't see it. Like there's nothing to see. It's blind.
Sometimes people make connections in the spiritual realm, Argent.
We knew it in the future, so we figured it out early.
Yep.
This next one is another question that involves Renarin's weirdness. So it's amusing that it's me again. So establishing the Night's Radiant followed up the Surge Binder. So I had a question about Renarin. Is he closer to the modern day Radiance power-wise or the pre-Night's Radiant Surge Binders? And Brandon's Renarin? Because he's weird, right? And yeah, he's weird. Is he closer to pre-Night's Radiant Surge Binders or to modern Night's Radiant Surge? I'd say closer to modern is what I say, but it's a tough call. The footnote, the questioner seems to be distinguishing between the formal establishment of the Night's Radiant by Ishar and the Spren-based Honor Blade copied Surge Bindings that existed beforehand.
Right, because there were Surge Binders before the Radiant started, and those are the Spren copying it, but that's presumably before the Oaths and stuff. where they get more power.
Yes.
Is what? Yeah, it's subject to some debate, but I also agree. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do know of a Surge Binder, in Nohadon's time, Alakavish or something. I think.
Yep.
Good guy.
Something like that.
Yeah. And we know that the rules were placed upon them later, right? As the Radiants. So
organization was thrust upon them.
Yep. So
good old Wishar thrusting left and right.
Could you say that they nailed it?
Hey.
Which is also
that wasn't as bad as I was worried
nail.
it would be. Yeah.
You could say that he nailed them, I guess.
Eventually.
You heard it here first.
I think so. This kind of says to me that I think Renarin will still need to swear some oaths in some way. But it's hard to see what form they will take because Renarin is so weird. And it's a corrupted Nahelspren. But I think some rules will still apply.
Yeah,
it's strange.
Because I could see this being an opportunity to expand what the Knights Radiant are, because the Knights Radiant is fundamentally an organization more than anything else. So there is some underlying mechanical things that were changed to form them with the ideals and such. But so it's Renarin could still be a Truth Watcher, a member of the Order of Truth Watchers, without being exactly the same as all the other Truth Watchers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and it's his oaths might mirror what regular Truth Binders would. It would be a different perspective on the same thing.
Yeah.
So they're all focused on learning and giving, I think, are their divine attributes, however much those are involved. But it's they have slightly different tacks, similar to how two Windrunners, Tef's and Kaladin's third oaths are not the same, but they go after the same thing. This would just be a slightly even more off tack going towards the same thing.
Yeah, I don't see that. I mean, I do get that it's an opportunity to show an even bigger deviation from I think you can get this kind of deviation within the same order with the same kind of sprint. You don't need a weird sprint to go off the rails. Well, not off the rails, but you don't need a corrupted sprint to show a drastically different perspective on a given divine attribute. You can just have that be.
Yeah, it depends on how big is that band of variance. If it's super big, then yeah. But if it is if it tends to be fairly narrow, there is possibility for it outside, but it's not super common. Whereas with this, it would be more common.
I guess kind of my take on it is thinking, I believe that whatever oath Renarin swears will in some way be related. He's not going to swear completely unrelated oaths that have nothing to do with what the Truth Watchers or what they typically are. It will be a take on it or a twist or maybe even a complete inversion, even though I don't think he's going to be heading down an evil direction. And so I feel and ultimately it will not just be something else. It will be related to what the Truth Watchers are, even if it's how different a take it is might vary a little bit or be subject to debate.
There's a quick wob from last year asking about whether Renarin will swear different ideals from the mainstream Truth Watcher ideals because of Gliss's corrupted nature. And Brandon obviously raffles that, but says there will definitely be some differences.
Sure.
The next question asks about whether Vasher knows where Nightblood is because Nightblood was used in the battle for Thalen Fields. And Brandon confirms that he does. Vivenna doesn't know, however. And she's searching for him. but she is stuck in Shadesmar and couldn't get out because the way she wanted to get out is occupied, presumably by the Fused.
She had some plans that didn't work out.
Poor Pavana.
And
that's
then,
just the story of her life.
Pretty much. In a later WoB, there was one where Brandon said he wasn't sure if she'd appear in Stormlight 4, but he didn't want to say that, but we'll see her eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine.
Okay, yeah, I feel like we have to. Like, that was the promise of her leaving, was that this is not the last we'll see of her, and that she's got things she wants to do.
She's not going to die off screen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is another anonymous questioner. Before the shattering, were people already able to world hop from Yolen to the other planets like Rashar and so on? Brandon, if it was possible, it did not happen nearly on the extent that it happens now. It's possible. I would say that. I don't know if there... Yeah, very, very, very few instances.
That makes sense. So, there wouldn't be perpendicularities because the main perpendicularities come from the shards.
Yeah, there still could be like little ones. Like Brandon has made clear that like it could be possible, but
the pathways haven't, like the roadways haven't been formed yet. Like it's like, yeah, in like the 1700s, you could get to Milwaukee from London. It was kind of difficult, whereas now you can just take a plane. Like,
yeah. I think the most valuable thing it confirms is that there wasn't some interplanetary civilization probably before the shattering, you know?
Yeah.
And there also wasn't a strict ban on it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, true. Yeah. I think it's just more practical limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So this next one is from Oversleep, a prominent member of our community who was here, who asked some other questions. But this one is a very spicy one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I have one about shards avatars like autonomies. Is it possible for one to form without the shard's vessel directly making it so independent? Brandon, yes, it is. They would be aware of it, however. They couldn't not be aware of it, but it could arise without their direct and conscious decision to do so. Oversleep. And the one on First of the Sun, is it by autonomies direct? Brandon, yes, that is directly created. Woohoo!
Oh boy.
Whoa! Crazy.
Which, this does make sense, I think.
It does make sense. Powerless alone does gain sapience, so maybe this is, like, what that would mean.
I tangentially, yes,
maybe?
I think.
Some similar mechanism.
Though.
Well, what is an avatar in terms of Splinter?
Right?
Like, so, you know. Hard to say.
Yeah, I definitely think, I don't know why autonomy would directly create it, though. That's definitely the more intriguing part of this.
Well, I always thought that autonomy was directly making these for some purpose that we just didn't know, right? And we talked about that.
Wait, the avatars or the
avatars.
Perpendicularities? Oh, no, I mean the perpendicularity. Like, why would they want that to exist? Which was what?
No.
Or did I misread the question?
No,
Sorry.
he's saying about the avatars. He's not mentioning perpendicularities at all. He's talking about the autonomy's avatar on First of the Sun.
This is why I don't wake up early, because my brain is just like it is just getting at the 90% boot up. So
yeah. Like your camera, like your old camera.
Hey, now I'm too clear.
I mean, I always thought that like Trell is a directly created thing that autonomy was doing. Like it didn't just like naturally occur. Right?
Yeah.
And it makes sense that like as soon as it exists, even if it's comes about unnaturally, like they become aware of it. It's like your foot. Like okay, like let's say like the investiture that is patchy, or like some other avatar that was not planned by is her foot. Like she knows it exists. Like she's not really thinking about it. She's like vaguely aware of its existence. And then it just starts moving on its own. It's like, okay, no, that's weird. I'm gonna go like something's happening there. It's like investiture is like her body. Like as soon as like something is happening with it, like she would become aware of it.
Yeah,
I don't know about that analogy, but your conclusion is relatively
in
fine.
my head.
I kind of like it though, honestly. Yeah, I think it makes me question even more the role that some sort of being that like in some way gets involved with an avatar happens. Like we're like, it was Trell a thing or was Pachi a thing before it became an avatar? Because how would that happen spontaneously? Like, I feel like, I don't know.
I think you just need to coalesce enough of autonomy's investiture for it to have sapience. That's the only mechanism that makes sense.
That's a splinter. We've always called that a splinter. Brandon has always called that a splinter.
We just didn't know about how avatars mix into things.
No, I'm with Argent.
There's
something
a
else
difference
here
between this and like splinters and avatars.
Yeah. But Brandon hasn't canonized how avatars fit into our scheme of shard subdivisions. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. Let me. Okay, fair. I'm gonna throw in an idea. Okay. Avatars are like small shards.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They are the combination or the quote unquote ascension of an actual like 3-realm being, such as a person or an island.
As you
that
do,
has
obviously.
a person or an island. Yeah, it's
obviously.
It's the 2019 gender binary. You're either a person or you're an island.
Send your hate mails to @Argent on Discord.
Specifically.
That's a meme.
Okay.
Don't hate me. I mean, you can hate me, but for other reasons. And so if you are ascending to a shard, to the power of a shard, you now have access to all of the shard's investiture, right? You are that shard. However, what if you could ascend to like 1% of a shard's power for whatever reason? Like, you are somebody, you are either a Trail or you're Pagi or you're something else, and you get your hands or land.
Yeah.
Your shores.
Your beaches are all up in that.
on a significant chunk of a shard's power. Not significant enough to like ascend to the shard, but way more than would be available in, let's say, a sprint or something like that. And so it is kind of like an ascension in the sense that you now have control over vast quantities of investiture, but these vast quantities are nowhere near the levels autonomy would have. And so I postulate that this is what an avatar is. And this can happen using like natural means. There's just a random person somewhere and they find a bunch of investiture, or they collect a bunch of investiture. And so that happens. And in the act of ascending to avatarhood, the actual shard now becomes aware of you, because
in the spiritual realm.
Because you are an extra foot. You are a boil on their foot.
So just like a related illustration that you might have said in the autonomy cast that I've not to the end yet. What you just described there, Argent, is Dalinar. Like, that's basically what Dalinar does.
That's what I was thinking.
Which is really interesting, because is Dalinar an avatar?
Maybe. Eventually.
Or on his way to being?
Is it? He's bonded.
He's bonded. He's got a lot of investiture, like a big chunk.
But he doesn't have
So you just like you described it so perfectly. I was like, this is Dalinar.
That's true.
I don't think he has access to that investiture in the same way that I'm thinking of avatars having access to that.
Okay. But you just need to get to a level 5 bondsmith, and then he would maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe
he can. So also, he's a weird bondsmith, right?
He is a
previous
weird bondsmith.
Bondsmiths couldn't do that.
Yeah, right.
So, he can open Honor's perpendicularity at maybe any point of time. Maybe they kind of just need to align, right?
Mm-hmm. When he is destined to do it, he will do it.
And he will know that he can do it.
Right. But I think that is like he doesn't have access to that investiture all the time. He needs to open the door and gain access to that investiture. I think it's a small distinction, but I think it's a important distinction.
Here's the problem that I have with what you said, Evgeni. I recall Brandon describing the process Vin ascended. And that basically she was drawing out enough power and there's like a hose, and then eventually it just vaporized her body.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the island actually interacts with like the being Patchty versus the island Patchty, right? But like even if you had 1% of a shard, right? Wouldn't that be just way more power than even the Lord Ruler grabbed, and you'd be vaporized, right? And you wouldn't.
1% of infinity is infinity.
You actually can't do arithmetic on infinity because infinity is not a real number, actually.
You can do limits, unfortunately.
Having graded an exam where people do some very bad things with things like that.
You can cancel infinity, right?
No, you trigger them.
If it's on both, you can just cancel it because all infinities are the same size.
1/0 is 1, guys. That's what it. I saw that on multiple.
It could be.
Yeah, no. Look.
No, but I mean, if you have 1 and you don't divide it at all.
No, that's not
0 groups.
No, into 0 groups. You can't do it. Anyway, the autonomy has investiture all around the Cosmere, but autonomy only has access to a fraction of it because the vessel's limited, right?
Yep.
Yes.
But I
like
still think
she can get access to that other investiture. She just has to like concentrate on it.
Yeah,
like she has to focus on it. Like she can't focus on everything all at once.
So I think
she needs to intend.
So I think that the only way I see for these avatars to form naturally is if you coalesced enough of that investiture, and then maybe you could grab it, I guess, somehow. I don't know. And then because all the investiture is connected in the spiritual realm, then autonomy would know that, right?
Yeah.
Because now something significant has changed about her entire pool of investiture.
Yeah.
Like she can feel all of her investiture at the same time. Like you can feel your entire body at the same time. But
I really think avatars are like boils more than like a leg.
Yeah, probably more along like that. But
what a pleasing metaphor to think about.
I know.
No, it's not.
Trell, the boil of Scadrial. But you can take that one. I don't know. I don't know if they're mini shards, because like, what would I say a mini shard is? Isn't that just it's a splinter, but a bigger splinter, I guess? I don't know. Sure, I guess.
Yeah. Because like, what would you call
I think
the sliver.
Probably Splinter.
He kind of is.
No,
kind of is.
I am actively not thinking about the Stormfather because it gets messy. But in my head, the hierarchy now goes shard, avatar, splinter, smaller splinter, whatever. I think the important distinction between an avatar and a splinter is that a splinter is strictly a cognitive being. It is strictly investiture that either through like saturation or through just over time gain sentience.
You need that vaporization, like Vin has?
Except for
like you can't still physically have that body?
No, like he's not talking about avatars, he's talking about the next step down.
Oh.
So it's like
just splinters like spread.
Okay, fine. Sure.
And then for avatars, you need either a bunch of investiture or a splinter, and you also need like a physical, like a being with the physical presence. In the same way that for the original shards, you would need the shard and you would need a vessel.
Mm-hmm.
But shards don't even always need vessels.
No.
Yes. And for the investiture that would go in an avatar, you don't need a a mini vessel. Like that investiture can still stay there, and maybe it will either remain a splinter or form a splinter. But you are now introducing a change to that process. What if Kaladin ate all the honor spren?
As you
Kaladin?
Let's stick with this. That could be its own podcast.
Come back for next week's episode. What if Kaladin ate all the honor spren? What if instead of being the squad leader of the honor spren, what if he just ate them? What if?
Like in that sense, like if a physical being consumes a bunch of investiture.
I don't know if I like this.
Yeah, I am
sticking with.
Think it necessarily has to be a physical, not capital P, like person or thing to ascend. Because I think part of what an avatar is an artificial vessel that's just like operating in concert with the prime vessel.
Yeah.
So it's like it's another like concentrated mind influencing a section of a shard's investiture to a specific purpose, rather than just being it autonomous or honorable, just hanging out.
But none of this contradicts my idea.
Yeah, but
no,
you said it.
I just don't think it has to be. Like, it could be like a purely investiture construct.
Okay, you believe that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is an interesting question. We should try to get an answer out of Brandon. Whether a physical component is required for avatars.
Mm-hmm.
I just think all these things are going to be things that Brandon's going to deeply explore eventually.
This is like total Raffotory.
I don't want to wait for eventually.
Raffotory? I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that. Please use that, everyone. It's Raffotory.
Yeah, totally not intended.
There we go. Great.
It's like purgatory, but it's
where you have near access to all the answers to your questions, but just someone doesn't want to give them to you.
Where all of your questions get ruffled.
Next question is about can any Allomancer burn Atium? To which Brennan responds, Atium, no. Asterisk, which we haven't seen in a while, but no.
Come back.
There is a reason why, but no, they cannot. Which
the return of the asterisks.
We
knew, but Atium and being able to burn a part of Ruin's investiture using a preservation-y magic has always felt very strange to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wonder what that asterisk is. Like, you guys probably remember better than me because I don't follow the metallic arts that closely, but has Brennan been asked if Mistings can burn their alloy of Atium as well? Or is
yes, they
can confirmed either? They cannot. So I don't know what that asterisk would be then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I had a brilliant idea that I just recapped in my head, and it sounds like the stupidest idea that I've ever had.
Okay, I've already done like a stupid metaphor, so now you have to share.
Yeah, share it. Share it. Let's do
it. So it's not even an idea. It's just.
Is it a splinter of an idea?
It's an idiot statement. It's what it is.
Great, I'm in.
So in my head, I was going, okay, what if the asterisk is? What if this is saying that because the question says Allomancers, and both Mistings and Mistborn are categorized as Allomancers. What if the asterisk is Mistings can, but what if all Mistborn can?
Which is that's how Mistborn work.
Eureka!
I don't think Brandon would be that.
You know what, though, Evgeni? Even though that was a completely dumb thing to say, and it objectively is. But
it was, yeah.
Yeah. The fact, I have less of a hard time believing that preservation could doctor a certain set of people to burn Atium than just all Mistborn all the time could have always burned Atium. In some sense, that's weirder to me.
They all have Ruin in them, though. That doesn't, boggle my mind. All of them have a fundamental connection to Ruin.
No, because if you use, if a Rosharan burned the bead of Lerasium, they would become a Mistborn. They would forge that connection to preservation. Would they be able to use Atium? Is the question.
Oh, you were correcting me. Yeah.
That is an interesting
question. That is a spicy question right there. Wow.
Or I guess alternatively, would Hoyd be able to?
That would work too.
That's complicated.
Hoyd's got like a weird
would have like
16.
Yeah. But one thought I did have is because being a Mistborn is defined as being able to burn all metals.
Yeah.
Would preservation through the act of creating Atium Mistborn and Atium Mistings rather, would the creation of that allomantic ability automatically make that appear for Mistborn?
I guess it'd have to be, right?
I would say so, yeah.
I feel like I dispute that Mistborn haven't always been able to burn Atium. I feel like I don't think that changed. But that's not really based on anything. So
because preservation didn't make like Malatium mistings, right?
Well,
presumably. Maybe. But there's
I think Brandon actually has said that he thought Atium and Malatium would be the most useful and subbed those. I think there were Malatium mistings.
Because no, there have to be Malatium mistings because of like the mist-snappings. Because it's always 16%.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that you could alloy Atium on other things, and those weren't mistings. That's more what I'm getting
said
at.
At one point. Yeah, he said at one point that I think at some point someone needs to like get Brandon at his note station and be like, all right, I need you to canonize. I guess, think about canonizing what happened here, because we are so confused, and so are you.
I guess what I mean is there exist Atium alloys that were not mistings. Right?
Correct.
Yes.
But I still believe the Mistborns could burn those Atium alloys.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, so that's what I'm getting at. Yeah. Not the weeds of Malatium here. Right?
Okay. Yeah, no.
See what I'm saying?
Excellent point. Mm-hmm.
See, it's weird.
Unless opening up like Atium kind of just like diffuses down into all of its alloys as well.
But that would be very strange if Demo could burn Malatium as well. Like, there's no evidence
for
that.
Mistborn.
Oh, for Mistborn
only. Yeah, like it would diffuse down from Mistborn.
Because
they can also already burn all of those other things.
I just think mechanically, with how allomancy operates on a mechanical level, it is kind of strange that Mistborn could burn. Like it's a totally different mechanism if you're not drawing up preservation. How does that doesn't even make sense to me. I don't know. It's weird. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, the concept of like Malatium mistings, Atium mistings like on their own is odd to me, because it is like
weird.
That draws no power from preservation ultimately.
Yeah. Mechanically it's weird.
I mean, that's preservation, like that's the plan.
I know, it's just like I guess
I
know that like it must be so, but it just is interesting.
I guess the idea is that instead of drawing the conduit between preservation, you're just drawing it from the god metal itself, I guess. So I guess it's less dumb than, whereas normal metal don't actually have power. It's a conduit to preservation, right?
Yes.
And it does make sense that this is weird, like, because unlike the rest of the system, it's not a natural expression. Like, preservation made it do this. Like, preservation like hacked the system to get his plan to work.
Preservation is the Terrace Woman hacker from Eris.
Can someone draw a piece of art of preservation just being like a 90s hacker somehow? I need that in my life. I'm in. And like binary numbers are floating by, because that's how you hacked in the 90s, obviously.
It's preservation. It's fuzz, but instead of his face turning into mist and like fading away, it's binary.
Oh, it's just yeah.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Get on that.
Preservation in the Matrix.
That we talked a lot more about that than I thought we were going to.
Oh no, trust me.
Same.
As soon as I picked that, I'm like, oh, this is a can of worms here. Which is why I always pick those.
Our next question comes from Paleo, who has become one of my favorite members of this community. Way over David.
Oh, me too. Over for me myself as well.
This went over a lot better than I thought this would. Just the random smack talk, so that's good.
Okay, maybe not way over David. Just a little bit.
I appreciate that.
And it's a long and honestly interesting, like nerdy question about topography of the cognitive realm and how it maps to the physical
and topology of the cognitive realm. Because it's topology. This is a topology thing.
Yes.
Which I kind of forgot in my graduate work on topology, so I don't remember a dang thing. But
the bit we're going to mention and talk about is at the very end, where Brandon says that things in the physical realm are mapping to places in the cognitive, but the two are not alternate dimensions of one another. So there can be like continuity weirdness, and you can have I'm extrapolating now. You can have like disjointed places where one place in the physical realm corresponds to another in the cognitive, but then the place immediately next to them don't correspond to one another. You have the oddity of like height in the physical realm doesn't map very well in the cognitive and things like that. There are places in the physical realm where your cognitive equivalent, the cognitive place where you map to is on the other side of the plane. Like you're in one place and you take a step and you're now on the other end of the cognitive realm, even though you've only taken a step in the physical.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bijection, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously it's not a bijection, yes.
Yeah, and it does make sense. Like there are, like, if you pay attention to, like, you know, like the land should be so weird if it's supposed to be like ocean basins. You know, if you look at things like that. Kelsier sees whales floating, I believe, like above him, or like senses them when he's wandering around Shadespire. And I'm like,
I don't remember.
No,
like, didn't he see like sea life? Oh, did he see it below?
No, he was. Yeah, so he was standing on the obsidian that represents water, and he was looking down.
Oh, okay, maybe I misread that. Well, there you go. Still cool, but like, yeah, it definitely like this does square because some stuff should be kind of like very different in Shadespire if it was like a 1-to-1.
Yeah,
reversal.
So it's not like the light world versus the dark world from Legend of Zelda. There's some more weirdness going on there, which is different than I thought. I thought it was a lot more like these are like two different lenses of seeing the same thing.
But it's like a 3D mapping to a 2D thing, so it can't be perfect. Like it's weird.
Yeah, and even then it's not, right?
Right, and it's not right. It's exactly.
It's not a direct map. It's and this is going to be really difficult to think about going forward because a lot of it behaves almost like that, right?
Yeah.
And so and this is where we're going to spend most of our time, in something that's almost like a mapping. It's almost like Euclidean geometry. And then every now and then we're gonna have instances where it just doesn't, like it behaves the way it wants.
And you know what comes in? The cognitive mumbo jumbo.
Exactly. The more you think about it, the more it's different.
Or a cognitive anomaly, right there.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm in pain.
All right. So then Paleo asked, I was wondering about Daisian Amians or the Sleepless. Do they reproduce at all? And if so, how does that work? Like, is that one inaudible, asexual if they do? Brandon. So they reproduce, yes, but reproduction for them has a variety of terms. They can breed specific cremlings for specific purposes over time if they want to. They can also exchange cremlings if they need to in order to improve their genetic diversity. Creating a new one is a different experience, but yes. In fact, today I've written sections, not for the books yet, but where I talk about them developing and over-evolving one of their cremlings to do something new. Interesting. Paleo, so if they do reproduce, does it require two of them? Or is it more like they breed enough and they split one off? Brandon, that is a RAFO for now. The individual's consciousness is an interesting thing for them.
God, you say all the words
are so cool.
Weird.
It's okay. It's all, they've just been in my head since 2010 and now they're coming out.
I like how instead of exchanging fluids, they exchange cremlings for genetic diversity. Like, right. Oh, okay. All right. I mean, that makes sense.
No, I think that is actually really, really interesting, right? Because for the survival of a species, you need some kind, like, species that reproduce asexually, where there's no way to introduce new genes in the gene pool, tend to either not develop very far, or they have limited populations, or they just die off because you don't have the ability to like mutate and adapt quickly to environmental changes, things like that. And so how do you introduce genetic diversity in a thing that doesn't really do the sexual thing, right? And so exchanging genetic material by exchanging pieces of you really is really, really cool.
It's kind of interesting too, because it seems like they would by definition kind of change themselves a little bit in that way, you know, like if they're introducing different genes into their Kremling populations.
Yes, but they could keep those contained.
For sure, but like it definitely, like it would, I don't know, I have to believe that it would change their character in some way too.
Maybe not. Like I just don't think we know enough about the nature of the sleepless to hordling bond. Because like if like a hordling gets separated from the sleepless, like that connection could break and it would just be like a normal Kremling. It could continue to live. So there is a slight disconnect there.
So they do have their own consciousness. We know that each Kremling is itself, like it would be fine on its own.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Because like if like a sleepless were to transition to the cognitive realm and one of their hordlings got left behind, like it would be sundered. Or like if it got a hematologic spike, it would probably be identity would screw up and it would be disconnected. So
sleepless are crazy.
Yeah. So like I could see that like having an injection of like another sleepless's hordlings not really affecting the sleepless itself, like not to the effect that I think you were saying.
I'm not imagining like a drastic effect, but I'm just saying like their personality would evolve over time as they, I assume, continually are exchanging these Kremlings with each other at various points of millennia.
Actually, as Ian was speaking, it made me realize that the mind and the consciousness and the personality that is a given Dizian Amian or a given sleepless might actually be independent of their physical bodies.
I think it definitely could be.
Yeah, and so you have the mind, and you can evolve your Kremlings, you can trade your Kremlings, you can lose some and gain some, and so the mind is still you. It's just that you are controlling a different like bunch of cockroach.
I definitely agree that's possible. I think that makes me wonder. I know that I assume like having at least some Kremlings are useful because they can pass as people, but what is special about Kremlings? Like, could they not have introduced into their hordlings various other Rasharan species? Like, wouldn't it be if they had like a white spine that would like maybe they're too intelligent and that just wouldn't work? But
I think it's like they are like tied to like this organism, and it's like they can't just like it has to be born as part of a sleepless. So like sleepless can exchange them, but ultimately like it was still always a sleepless hordling. Like they can't just walk up to a chasm fiend and it's like, you are part of me now.
I think that they have to be. I think that their Kremling has to impact them. If they can't, if their being is not enough, cannot separate enough to incorporate other things, then I believe that they must, like the Kremling must impact them in turn.
Well, I think it's like these creatures have evolved to have that bond with sleepless, and it's just like they look like Kremling. They're not actually Kremling; they're hordling.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, like so I don't know that we know that
look like Kremlings because, like, hey, there's a lot of little insects on this planet. Let's breed our things to look like them so like we can infiltrate places. But
is that based on anything or no?
They are always referred to as hordlings in text, not as Kremling.
I understand that, Ian. I just mean more like I assume they were genetically related to the other Kremlings that people constantly mistake them
I don't
for.
think that needs to be the case. They could have come from somewhere else and then copied Kremlings and made their stuff look like Kremlings.
Is that the general belief, and I'm just unaware of it?
I think so.
I mean, I just thought of that now. I don't know if that's a general belief or not.
I wouldn't say there is a general belief. I think it makes sense that if they were in a different place, their hordlings would look like ants, for example.
Okay, so we do have a word of Brandon on this, and from the Leipzig Book Fair in 2017, are all hordlings kremlings and vice versa? Brandon, kremling is a synonym in Roshar for both insect and small crustacean, right? And so you would see one and you would think that it blah, 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 blah. Kremling is not an exact term, if that makes sense. It's like bug. So yes, they look like kremlings because they've been bred to look like kremling. So they would not be noticed on Roshar.
Wait, but I did not get that from what you read at all.
Okay.
Like, they just like look similar enough that people are like, oh, we're going to call it a bug. But that does not mean they were bred to look like a bug. That just means that they do currently.
Okay,
so they could have been. But
listen to me again. So yes, they look like kremlings because they've been bred to look like kremlings.
Oh, did you say that?
Yes.
Am I just like not listening? Okay.
Yes. No.
Yeah, you're just not listening.
Okay. So they will not be, specifically, so they will not be noticed on Roshar. But there are hordlings that do not look like kremling.
Okay, well, that's really interesting.
They would still be called a kremling by the people on Roshar. That's getting into like all alcohol is wine.
Well, we got a WoB vaguely recently where we're like saying, like, what extent could these hordlings do? And the answer is over many generations, a lot of things. So that's not surprising that they were bred to look like kremlings, because that's what you want.
Eventually, they could make something that looks like a white spine, but they can't just go up to a random white spine and say like,
they can breed one to look like that, or create something like that.
For sure.
Like, although I don't know if they can breed something as big as that.
No. Well, white spine maybe, chasm fiend definitely not.
White spines are big.
Yeah.
They're a little bit bigger than a person.
That's big.
Yeah.
Big. It's a lot bigger than a bug.
Yeah. They need to be small enough, I guess. But cool. So our last two are also from Paleo, and they're about something Ian's very excited about, and that's wisdom. And so we're going to do these two together. Paleo's like, in May in Germany, you told me that. I asked whether wisdom was a shard, and you said it was or something like it, and that wisdom was close to an intent of a shard. And you also told me it has realized that survival isn't necessarily the most important thing for it. I wanted to ask whether it has realized that over time, or was it from the get-go? And Brandon said over time, which is definitely inspired by a Shardcast conversation there. And then Paleo asked if it was the survival shard, and Brandon said Raffo. And then Paleo said somebody came up with another probable name. Is Prudence close? And Brandon says Prudence sounds awful lot like a shard name. That's some excellent theorizing there. Neat. And then our last one, Paleo asks, all right, the wisdom shard again. We have one quote where Hoyd cited, some men, as they age, grow wiser. I am not one of those, for wisdom and I have always been at cross purposes. Is he referring to the shard there, or the vessel? Brandon, yes.
Ugh.
Yes. Which is still a good yes.
Yeah. That is still a good yes, because like the shard and vessel being conflated, whatever. That's nothing new for us.
Yeah. But it's like he is specifically referring to a shard, not just wisdom in general.
Yep. Yeah.
That seemed like a pretty
Yeah. But I guess wisdom's just not the name of the shard?
Probably not.
Maybe not. But probably not.
He might not have decided on its name yet.
Yeah. Oh, probably.
Kind of likes to dress up names. Like he didn't name devotion love. And so like wisdom is probably what it will be in essence, but he's probably going to pick a fancier sounding name.
I mean, odium and hatred, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. But actually, in this, David, there was a word of Brandon where he said, oh, devotion and dominion could have been called love and conquest, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is in there. So that's interesting. But also the lack of capitalization on wisdom means it's not the shard name. But also realize that sometimes Brandon just doesn't capitalize fortune when it was talking about fortune and stuff. So, whatever.
Like that would have been from Shallan's perspective. So would she have known to capitalize?
Oh, that is not how capitalization works in the Cosmere.
Hoyt's translation allows him to capitalize words verbally, and he can understand
that is not how that works. Like,
I mean, I don't think that's not how it works.
I'm just saying, Chris and Ars Arcanum of earlier things mention fortune, and it's not capital F fortune, but we know it's capital F fortune because it's capitalized later, so that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, but like for this, like if it had been capitalized, that would have been weird, in my opinion, because like Shallan would have no idea that like he's referring to like an actual being named Wisdom.
Yeah, but
if it was capitalized, Brandon would be winking at us like as an author, essentially.
Yeah, but like,
which would have been weird.
Odium has capital things that Elnar wouldn't know what they are. Like that has never
true.
Mattered ever.
Like Odium was capitalized when Syl starts talking about Odium.
Like, yeah, like and Kaladin doesn't know about that. That has never mattered in the Cosmere.
Yeah, but Kaladin definitely probably didn't know the definition of Odium.
I'm just saying, I think it's like Wisdom, but the name is not Wisdom.
Yeah, that's plausible.
I think it's interesting that he won't tell us if that's a survival shard or not, because it definitely seems like it could be.
It definitely seems like
it does seem like it could be.
At this point,
like these two together, I'm pretty solid with that, to be honest.
I kind of struggle to hold all of these nebulously defined shards in my brain, and I can remember which ones are for sure not the same and which ones might be.
I know, it's hard, right?
Yeah.
Or like the planet named Purity in the Threnody system that does not match the naming convention.
Bigger than the sun.
Yeah. And those relative sizes, those are on the star charts.
They are generally correct. Yeah, but still weird.
It is weird.
Or the fact like
Nas swears by Purity's eye. Yep.
Purity's eye.
It could
Threnody
be like
novel.
Jupiter's eye. That'd be kind of cool. Like the eye of Jupiter. They probably don't have telescopes that are that good.
I mean, we don't know what their tech level was before they left the homeland, right?
True. But like we didn't start swearing by Jupiter's eye when we put a telescope up there.
Okay. That's true. Like, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Jupiter's eye. Whoa, crazy.
We can. Feel free to work that in if anybody likes that.
I mean, that definitely would sound like you're in a fantasy novel. That's for sure.
But, yeah.
Cool.
So there is some weirdness there because the Roman deities and
but we just named them after those, not the other way around.
Yeah, so it'd be weird like, to swear by Jupiter's eye because it's like it's named after this other thing and like complicated.
Cosmere, it's complicated. It's spiritually, obviously. There, did we get all the memes in?
Yeah.
Did we get all the memes in there? All right, great. Holy crap, this took forever. Let's do Who's That Cosmere Character?
This character is from Roshar.
Menace. Tien.
Tom.
Raise.
Void in drag on a horse.
It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character? Caw. Welcome to Who's That Cosmere Character. It's a game where you send 5 clues and a character to Who's That Cosmere Character, to WTCC at 17shard.com. And the clues and the character should go together, not separately.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be great. And then we read them aloud, and so we do that, and we see who is the best. And Ian is back. No more slander. Who's That Cosmere Character in the last one was very spicy, wasn't it, Evgeni? On autonomy.
I haven't watched it.
Oh, you should definitely watch it, but it was pretty great. So, this first one is from Messy Desk. Are you the cognitive aspect of my desk?
Or mine?
Or mine? Clue 1. This character is dangerous.
Raise.
No.
I was also making
Kaladin?
No.
Okay.
There's lots of dangerous people to choose from.
What about Seth? He's pretty dangerous.
It is not Seth. Clue 2. This character saves someone's life.
Vasher.
No.
Moash.
No.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say Shalash.
He's not Shalash.
Okay.
Clue 3. This character could be said to have 2 occupations.
Well, it's not Kaladin. We already guessed that. What is an occupation, Eric?
What is an occupation?
Wage earning career? Can hobbies be involved?
What is an occupation? I don't know. You guys need to discuss that.
What about Shalon? She's a scholar and a radiant, and she's pretty dangerous.
It's not Shalon.
2 occupations.
Kai'ine.
No, it is not Kai'ine.
That's a good
guess.
one.
That's a good guess. I like that. That's a very good one.
Elantris is in
Pirate.
fact a world.
3 whole
No, it's
domains
not,
there, too.
It's not a world.
Shush.
It's a
You
city.
know what I meant. Iodon.
It is not Idon. You're like, so, good idea.
Now that we're thinking about Elantris.
Clue 4. This character's mother resides in the same house as the character lives in.
Silence Montaigne.
It is Silence Montaigne. Excellent. And clue 5 is this character tries to avoid openly spilling blood. So, like, if you didn't get that one, then you would have gotten it on the next one.
The Dangerous is good because it's in the Dangerous Woman anthology originally.
I think that was a really solid one. I liked that a lot.
Yep.
Wide narrows down. Perfect.
Though, is the shade her mother or her grandmother?
Grandmother.
It is her grandmother, technically.
Okay,
but
it's not perfect. Never mind.
that's fine, though. Like, I definitely forgot that till Ian pointed it out, so.
All right.
Sorry.
This next one is sent by Jacob Griffiths. And, oh man, listing the answer first in the email line is scary stuff. It's like, the first one is this character is, whoa, shoot. All right. Clue 1, this character walks with a limp.
Oh.
I know there is someone with a limp for sure. Like, on Roshar.
Yeah, it's this character.
Yeah, them.
I'm going to guess Nilto. And
It is not Nilto.
Oh,
Okay.
thank goodness. Okay, I was like, we need to get this, Argent. We need to either you or I. We cannot let Ian win both each time. That's the minimum bar.
I mean, I would really not be upset. I don't care.
Okay. No, I'd be furious.
It's only last time that you were upset. You can't be as angry as you were last time.
Okay, no, that was okay. That was upsetting, right?
No spoilers,
No
for
spoilers.
these guys who
I'm
didn't,
going to watch
didn't hear
it.
it. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
It was quality entertainment. That was the best.
Did not
Okay,
feel
with
like
a lamp.
entertainment.
Well, it was entertainment at your expense.
With a lamp.
Did I don't remember, but Sergeant have?
It does not have, and I don't remember if he had a limp.
I don't remember.
yeah, I don't remember him having a limp.
I just think there's a soldier in Roshar with a limp that I'm forgetting. And so I'm just going to get someone random, which is Lopin, who doesn't have a limp.
It's not Lopin.
Yeah.
Clue 2, this character can use investiture.
Oh. Come on.
Look, I just had something. See, I had one character, then I thought of another character, and I forgot the first one, but I want to go back to
I
the
hate
first
that.
one.
I hate that. Yeah.
This
That's
is
the
this is
opposite
going to be
problem.
one of those where I'm gonna hear the character and I'll go, of course.
Yeah.
Like I know this is gonna be like obvious in retrospect.
I'm
Is it
really glad.
clubs?
It is not clubs. I'm also really glad that I'm not doing this one because I would definitely be. You know those times where I just stare into the ground with the clues and I'm just like, I have no idea. I was like, who has a limp in the Cosmere? Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now. What
Right. Yeah.
about-
I empathize more than you could ever know.
I'm going to guess Tarson, who I don't think is a limp either.
No.
But I'm just going to go with it.
I do not think he has a limp.
Oh,
I don't know. I'll pass, I guess.
All right. Clue 3, this character must have a connection with someone to use investiture.
Nightblade doesn't walk with a limp.
Technically true for all of them.
Oh. Well, would you call a bird with an injured wing having a limp?
No.
Okay, well, it kind of does. Like, if you were a bird and you had a bad wing, that would be how you would limp.
Is that your guess?
That's Vathi's bird. Yeah, that's my guess.
It is Bobby's birds.
What?
Yep. And I apparently, at least the copper mine says that it walks with a limp. So presumably,
Oh.
And Big Smooth reviewed it, so presumably that is accurate with what the text says, and we just don't remember.
Whew.
I mean, I remember the injured wing.
It is Sock, the AVR, and the clue for...
That's not Vasi's bird.
Oh, well. Rip. It's not Vasi's bird.
I'm gonna put that in my column anyway.
No.
I got up to the answer.
Because Vathi doesn't have a bird.
Too late.
Yeah,
she does.
Yeah, she does. She definitely has a bird, and it gets injured.
Oh,
so but Sock is a sick bird. Yeah.
When Sixt, when Dusk meets her, they go to one of his like safe houses, and they leave Vathi's injured bird with Dusk's other AVR, or not AVR, but like just birds.
I was just excited you got a bird, to be honest.
AVR.
Yeah, hey, I got a bird.
I kind of forgot the Vathi.
So yeah, I think we're there.
Well, Rip, my 6 of the Dusk fail still manifested, so great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Clue 4, this character is not human, and clue 5 is this character is on First of the Sun. So, well done me. Yeah. I'm an idiot.
Well, I guess that's 2 points, David, 1 point, Ian, I guess? No.
No.
Based on some
point
sort of
for
math.
you. Half point.
Yeah.
That's a half point.
I didn't remember that Sack was injured.
Oh, I didn't remember.
He had been injured like previously. Like it was like an
injury.
Yeah.
Apparently has scars on the left wing as well. But apparently walks
Maybe we'll explore that in Eric's hotly anticipated sequel to the 6 of the Dead.
Oh, yay. Well, I mean, that one, if he goes into the cognitive realm, yeah, I'd be very interested. But before then, not so much. All right. Wow. I have no idea how long the final result on this podcast will be, but this will be a fun week for me editing this. Great. Follow us on 17shard.com for all your news, discussion, theories, and fun that you could ever want. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube. You can leave us a review on iTunes. For all your Words of Brandon needs, you go to wob.coppermine.net. If you're one of the people who asked these questions and were like, it's an anonymous questioner, just log into an account. You can just edit the question and put your name in there. Easy. Because we don't know who these voices are. So unless people in the fandom are like, oh yeah, I asked that question. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So go do that. And you can support us on Patreon. And we will see you all next time.
Bye.
Peace.